Welcome to the Crush Cravings with Confidence podcast. I'm Coach Lisa Callahan, a recovered emotional eater. I ended decades of self-inflicted struggles with food through taking a journey of self-discovery, which revealed the secrets of what was going on underneath the food. Throughout this podcast, we'll explore topics that are rarely talked about, like low self-esteem, lack of confidence, people-pleasing, and decades of self-sabotaging behaviors. Rather than just focusing on the food, we'll dive deeper into aspects of who you are as a person and how you ended up relying on food for comfort to begin with. My mission is simple: to empower women to regain their confidence and prioritize self-love, regardless of the number on the scale. Discover what you've really been craving, and trust me, it's not about the food. This podcast is based on insights shared from the Women's Emotional Eating Community Support Group on Facebook, so be sure to check out the show notes for the link to the group and a complimentary gift just for you. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hey, welcome to another fun and insightful episode of the Crush Cravings with Confidence podcast. The topic today is live unapologetically and free yourself from emotional eating forever. This is part 5 of our 5-part series. As we begin this final episode of our 5-part series, I want to take a moment to reflect on where we started so that you can see how these 5 episodes fit together as a whole. These last 5 episodes represent the foundational pillars that I use in my signature course, which is called Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System. This is where I help women learn how to love themselves from the inside out before they ever lose a pound. Once you embrace the idea that you can love yourself at any size, food will become an afterthought, since you'll be focused on advocating for yourself, your health, and your own best interest instead of criticizing yourself and sabotaging your best interest with food. Okay, let's dive in. In this episode, I want to go over all 5 episodes as a whole, so that way we can just put all of the pieces together. In episode 1, we had to first start with learning how to stop focusing on weight loss so that we could apply our attention on gaining life. Yes, life gain equals weight loss. Go figure. The difference here is that once you no longer want to feel badly about yourself or feel like you failed at something, then everything else becomes easy. You'll have a purpose. So when you have a purpose, that equals motivation. A lot of times people have it backwards. They think that they have to be motivated first, and then they can feel good about themselves. And so then they'll stay motivated, and then they'll have a purpose. That is completely backwards. You have to find what your purpose is first. And if your purpose is to love yourself and like yourself like you would a best friend, you'll begin to treat yourself better. And then there won't be that feeling of like all or nothing, and you won't want to emotionally eat anymore. From what I've learned as a recovered emotional eater myself, is that you always get what you focus on. And I didn't really know that before, but once I started to take a journey of self-discovery, I started to realize that this was a really important piece of the puzzle. So if your mind is always focused on weight loss and then you lose weight, since that's always been your goal, you're always going to have to put the weight back on so that then you can start that goal over again. That's how you get your good feelings about yourself. And so in mainstream diet culture, they call this yo-yo dieting. And that is a sneaky subconscious habit that's rooted in that all or nothing mindset. But even in mainstream dieting, they don't talk about that at all. They're just like, oh, it's called yo-yo dieting. Okay. How about teaching that yo-yo dieting and all or nothing mindset is also disguised as fear, period. So this means that if you are focusing on weight loss, you're never going to allow yourself to truly be happy, because once you lose the weight, the pressure to keep that weight off becomes really great. And then all of that fear seeps in. And obviously, since you can't stay on a diet forever, even though I know I felt like I was on a diet forever, you can set yourself up for endless amounts of time waste, money waste, and energy waste. And so, how long have you been stuck in this cycle of waste? Maybe, just maybe, it's time for a change. What if you could stop focusing on weight loss, but instead start to envision a future version of yourself who already has that confidence? She doesn't need to lose weight to feel confident about herself. She feels confident about herself already. And because she feels confident about herself already, she just chooses things and activities and thoughts that really just keep her going. So I literally want you to start to memorize her, the future you who no longer struggles with emotional eating. I want you to ask yourself, what is she shopping for at the supermarket? What is she wearing? How's she spending her time? What is she focused on? How does she show up in the world when she's thinking about other people? Does she feel criticized or does she feel like a sense of belonging and connection? What are her passions? How is she connected with the purpose of her life? So, when you start to memorize a future version of yourself, you'll start to manifest her. Like she will start to come right to you. And she knows that future version of yourself, the one who's healed, she knows that emotional eating has nothing to do with food. So, as soon as you learn this, you'll be ready for episode number 2, where we talk about 5 specific food rules that you have to unlearn if you want to experience food freedom forever. This is going to help you reboot your mindset. So, rebooting your mindset doesn't mean that you suddenly lose all of the valuable nutrition information that you've learned over the decades of dieting. Like the information, right? It's like, it's good information, but it simply means that you're going to evaluate or reevaluate your need to relearn all of that information over and over and over again. I don't know about you, but I have been on like 10,000 diets and it's just the same thing. It's like, here I go again with like the list of good foods and bad foods and like the food groups and like these are the things that I can shop with. And I have to buy 10 of these and 4 of these and have to have servings and weigh-ins and get yourself a food scale. And I'm just like, what? Like I've done this all before. Like, why do I have to relearn this stuff again? You're an intelligent human being with an innate, yes, innate sense of what to eat, how much to eat, how little to eat, and when to eat. So give yourself permission to cancel that lifetime Weight Watchers membership so you can stop wasting your time and your money and your energy relearning things that you already know. I mean, seriously, how many times do you need to learn about a carb and how much protein to eat? And plus, since we are all bio individuals, that means that one person's perfect food is actually another person's poison. So when somebody at the old, dieting meeting is telling you to eat something and that this is going to be your ticket to losing weight and all that stuff, what if that's actually the exact wrong thing for your body? And just because a food is like technically healthy, it doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily produce digestion issues. I used to have like massive amounts of pain in my stomach and, GERD from like a sweet potato or even broccoli or onions. Like these aren't things that are, they're not, I wasn't opening a bag of chips. Like I'm eating like a healthy food and my stomach would suddenly feel like gaseous and bloated. And it's like, what the heck is going on? But it's on my healthy diet plan, right? And so then that made me feel even more fundamentally flawed because I was like, what the heck? I can't even eat a freaking sweet potato. What? Like, that's not okay. But the thing is that because my body was so corroded with chemicals, honestly, because I was eating all these bars and nutrition things and protein shake and pea protein powders and all that, engineered stuff. And then I was trying to eat like a healthy diet. And then in between that, binging on M&Ms and Kit Kats and cookies and whatever. Like my poor body had no idea what to do. And so it's none of anybody's business to tell you what to eat because honestly, you're like one human being. You're like one of one. Even if you have, I don't know, quadruplets in your family, each person is going to have their own like biochemistry. Like it's just Nobody is going to be able to tell you exactly what to eat because also, like another fact in addition to this is that like you have a background of genetics and like heritage and upbringing and honestly, climate, like where you live makes a difference. And also the time of the year impacts things. Your body processes foods dependent on the seasons and like the circadian rhythm and the cycle that you're in. What time do you wake up? What time do you go to sleep? Like it does make a difference if you're completely out of whack with your sleep wake cycle. For example, let's say that your diet plan says, oh, okay, you're supposed to eat like grilled chicken and a salad, but it's like the middle of February and you live in Chicago. Wouldn't a warm, hearty stew or like a warm soup, lentils, something, beans, I don't know, maybe that would benefit you? But maybe your body doesn't digest that well. So if that was on your diet, maybe you'd be like, oh no, I can't eat that because that bothers my stomach. And so the thing is that when you're on someone else's plan, it simply means that you end up ignoring yourself and your own intuition, your own integrity, your own innate sense of being. Yes, let me remind you, you are a human being. And when you end up just trying to eat on a schedule where you're told what to eat, honestly, that can become super frustrating and really super boring. Plus, the last time I checked, you were not a human doing. So when somebody's just telling you to do something, do this, do that, eat this, do that, measure this, whatever, you're a human being. And if you're losing the connection with your own being because you're trying to follow someone else's food rules, try to stop doing that and try to connect with yourself on a deeper level. And so when you don't do this, you end up convincing yourself that you cannot be trusted. And that, my friends, brings us to episode 3, where we talked a little bit about something called frozen emotions. Everybody's born with an innate sense of self. You have an intuition. Everybody has it. And yes, there might have been times in your life where you made a mistake, a wrong turn, and you might have not trusted yourself. And so sometimes the emotion can get frozen and it stays quite immature. In Krishna Food Think Self Discovery System, we call this immature frozen emotions. And when you start to learn how to mature your frozen emotions, you're going to recognize where you might have gotten stuck and frozen in time, telling yourself a thing that's not true, like you can't be trusted or you don't know what to eat. It's absolutely not true. I teach my self discovery students that you always get what you focus on. So, if you want to continue to tell yourself that you can't be trusted around food, keep telling yourself that. And that is what you will get because you're focused on it. And yet, on the other hand, why not start to just tell yourself that you're trustworthy? I mean, listen, you are trustworthy because you can be trusted by a friend, right? Somebody asks you to bring potluck to the, I don't know, dinner party and you're going to do it. You're not going to let anybody else down. You're going to do your best. And so you are trustworthy. And so your future self, she can trust herself. So start planting the seeds today to get to her. If she's already trustworthy, that future self, what does she do different than you do today? So you can just start to mantra this. There's no harm in it. Write your name down and say, I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. So write it down, like actually write down your name. So I would say, Lisa, I trust you. Write it down at least 5 or 10 times per day. And then start to tell yourself that about 50 times per day. Make a song out of it. Make the I trust you song. Make it fun and silly and simple. Because that's really what's happening is that there's an immature, frozen part of you that's sitting there and she's like right inside of this heart of like mistakes and things that happened in the past and feelings that she doesn't want to feel or things that she feels like she buried. And if you can just help make it really simple and really fun, then you'll be able to kind of get her curiosity. And that's really all that self discovery is. It is just getting curious about your own story and where you might be the one thing standing in your own way of change. All right. So, this simple suggestion will help you to become more confident, and then you can start to get off of those diet rules. And let me just pause and say that I understand if this one might even scare you a little bit. When I was struggling with emotional eating, I convinced myself that if I didn't live on a diet and if I didn't have anybody or somebody else telling me what to eat, that I would not know what to eat and that I would just like go uncontrolled. I figured that I would just sit there, and if I didn't have it told to me that like I was allowed to have, I don't know, a half a scoop of ice cream, that I would just sit there and eat all the ice cream, and that I had to have those rules in order to be able to trust myself. And that part was just not true. You are an intelligent human being, and you do know the difference between what is like too much or that is going to hurt you and what is going to help you and nourish you. And you do know the difference between like not eating an entire container of frosting or, not eating a whole box of cookies or not telling yourself that you're going to get one thing, like I'll get gas at the gas station and, oh, I come out with an entire bag of family sized chips that I eat all the way home. Like you do know the difference. So please make certain that you're not convincing yourself that you don't know what to do unless you're on a specific plan. And just know that if you are doing this, then you are just using those food rules to convince yourself that you're not responsible for your own well being and your own care. And that is a sneaky subconscious habit that we do talk about in episode 4. And so when you're using that commitment to the diet and all of the food rules, you actually let yourself off the hook of wanting to take care of yourself. And then when you fall off the diet, you can simply blame the diet for being too hard to follow. And also, you can start to blame yourself for not having enough willpower or discipline to stay on the diet. So basically, every time you go on a diet, it's like a double whammy of self-loathing and disgust because you can't stay on a diet forever. So you will fall off of that diet. And then you can convince yourself that you're just not strong enough and you don't know what's wrong with you. And, you've failed at every diet you've been on. You haven't failed, my friend. You've just set your expectations at an unrealistic, unsustainable, and honestly, unkind level. It's literally cruel and unusual punishment, and that is coming from an immature, unhealed part of yourself. During the process of self discovery, you're going to learn that all feelings are meant to be felt. There are no good and no bad feelings. Sometimes we can tell ourselves that we don't want to feel the feeling, so we numb it, or we stuff it down, or we shovel it, or we eat it. We eat our feelings. And this is really untrue. All feelings are meant to be felt. And interestingly enough, feelings can actually only be felt for about 90 seconds until you fuel them with a thought. Now, I didn't make this up. um, there's let's see, Dr. Jill Taylor. And I got this because I've learned it in the past, but then I chat GPT'd it and I'm giving you this right from Google or chat GPT actually. So the feelings can only be felt for 90 seconds until you fuel them with a thought. And this is again from Dr. Jill Taylor, a Harvard trained neuroanatomist and author of My Stroke Insight. She explains that when an emotion is triggered, the chemical process in the brain and body lasts for about 90 seconds. After that, if you continue to feel the emotion, it's because you are mentally re triggering the emotional loop through your thoughts. So write that down. A feeling can only be felt for 90 seconds until you fuel it with a thought. So if you could learn, and I can teach you this, how to actually feel your feelings. And I know that you might be like, oh, I'm scared of my feelings. Um, but let me just say this, just on the other side of any fear lives your courage. So you're not afraid of fear because the only way to get to courage is to actually experience fear. What you're doing is you're telling yourself that you're afraid of fear and you're fueling that. And so then you never get to feel fear. And consequently, you never get to experience courage. And that's why you stay stuck, scared, running on that hamster wheel, just feeling terrified that you're never going to get out of this. Well, it's true because, like she said, it's an endless emotional loop. So a loop is, round and round and round. So here's some of her quotes. Says when a person has when a person has a reaction to something in their environment, there's a 90-second chemical process that happens in the body. After that, any remaining emotional response is just the person choosing to stay in that emotional loop. So it's interesting, the wording, right? There is a choosing of this. Now, you might say, Lisa, that is not true. I can't choose my thoughts. They just come at me and I don't know what to think and I don't know how to change them and I don't know how to stop and all that stuff. And I get you. I hear you, my friend. I didn't think that I could change my thoughts either. Actually, for me, I didn't think I was allowed to. I just thought they came to my head. And I didn't know why I thought them. And I was like, tried not to think them, but I couldn't. And, all the things. The thing is, though, and this is something you can write down, you don't have to believe everything you think. Seriously. So if there's a thought in your head that is meant to keep you stuck, you are allowed to stop the thought. And I'll give you permission. You don't even have to replace the thought. You could just stop it. You could just say, stop. Okay, stop. Stop thinking that right now. That is not helpful. And you can say that. You can say that is not helpful because that thought is not coming from today's you. That thought is coming from past you. So when you're telling yourself that you're eating your emotions or you're stuffing them down or you're numbing them, what you really mean is you're not allowing yourself to feel. And instead, you're encouraging yourself. It's subconscious, yet it's happening. You're encouraging yourself to fuel. And since you now know that you can only feel a feeling for 90 seconds until you fuel it with a thought, I want you to notice and recognize your repeat thoughts that you get to tell yourself once the food is eaten and then it's over. For me, the feeling was guilt and also feeling like I wasn't good enough and also regret. So, how about you? What feelings are you fueling? Okay, now let's get to part 5 of our 5-part series on how self discovery can fix emotional eating. We're going to live unapologetically from now on. Like, this is it. We've been down this road over and over on this ride, on the merry-go-round, on the roller coaster, spinning the wheels, like the whole thing. And it's done. I want you to draw a line in the sand and I want you to cross over it. That's where the unapologetic you gets to live. She is free from emotional eating. So I want you to start to get to her. And yes, I know it sounds like a vacation on a cruise ship or Calgon, take me away. All right. I just aged myself. All right. If you know, you know. All right. So let's talk about what living unapologetically means. To live unapologetically, it means to fully embrace who you are without constantly feeling like you have something that you have to change. Can you imagine? Like feeling like you don't have to change anything. You can actually like as is it. And you don't have to like do everything perfectly. It like you can actually take imperfect action. Let me just say this, and you can write this quote down. Imperfect action is far better than perfect procrastination. And so living unapologetically means that you get to uncheck the boxes, you get to live outside the lines, outside of societal norms, and you get to fit out more than you want to fit in. Now, I'm not talking about purposely trying to be awkward or weird with anything. Like, I'm not talking about like trying to like fit out because, then that can be weird and awkward. And I'm just talking about like living as your authentic self. And I'm talking about living your life through love instead of fear. And this is what I teach you how to do because once you can start to embrace yourself as a whole, you will unapologetically step into your power instead of waiting for your clothing size to drop or the perfect diet to come along or the number on the scale to tell you that it's okay for you to be okay. If I had known these secrets decades ago, I would have saved myself boatloads of money, tons of time, and a lifetime of emotional energy. However, you can't know what you don't know. And those were the stepping stones that got me to here. And so your painful past will become your present purpose if you allow it to. I always look at those past pains as the contractions that are like they're meant to birth you into the next place in your life. But there's no way out but through. So you got to push through. And since you can't know what you don't know, I've learned that in order to move forward, in order to push through, you have to actually forgive your past self for making the mistakes that she made that got you to where you are today. And then you also have to meet yourself right where you're at because you can't like know more than you know. And if you knew how to fix this, you'd have done it already. And yet we have to be able to learn new things because how are you going to get to your future self with all your past stuff? It doesn't work. So even though you may have been already stuck for decades, even though you feel like you wasted a lot of time, and even though the past version of yourself is still yelling loudly, just remember that your spiritual self, which is your future self, which is the girl who's over the line in the sand, there's a whisper. There's a whisper coming from her, and you can feel her and you can hear her. And if you can't feel her and hear her, quiet your thoughts down a little bit and give yourself some space and tell yourself to stop thinking some of your old thoughts, and you will start to hear her. And I want you to start to unapologetically turn that whisper into a roar. Take what is rightfully yours, your health and your happiness. And now that you can see the bigger picture, you're going to have to forgive that past self because she did not know any better. And when you don't know any better about something and you finally figure it out and you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't realize this. You absolutely have to forgive yourself because you cannot hold yourself accountable for something that you did not recognize with awareness was wrong to begin with. So, what's it going to be? Do you want to live your life proactive or reactive? Do you want to keep rehashing the same, I don't know, 45, 50, 60, 70 years of your life? Or do you want to start living one new year of your life? This is your choice. As we wrap up episode 5 of this 5-part series, I do want to read to you my student agreement when I work with my Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System students. And I help them to make a new commitment to themselves from a new version of themselves. So here's how it goes. Please take this document seriously, as it's going to reflect how much integrity you decide that your word is worth. This is the most important part of the Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System program. Many times we make an enormous effort never to let anyone else down, not to go back on our word, and to hold true to the promises that we make to others. We are motivated, eager to help, and energetically connected with doing the right thing. We go out of our way, we work tirelessly to make certain that everything is done correctly, and would give the shirt off our backs to anyone who needed it. Today, as you take this step towards working on yourself through Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System, I want you to start to give yourself the same kindness and consideration that you would to others. Today is your day to firmly state your desired outcome from Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System. Today, you will hold true to the promises that you make to yourself. We feel that an authentic life is equal to awareness, strength, balance, confidence, independence, security, empathy, kindness, compassion, and most importantly, integrity. This program will challenge you to face your inner truth to become an advocate for your own happiness, and to take back what is rightfully yours, which is your health. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a second. So, all of the things that I listed above, you probably already are for other people. You're just not always that way for yourself. And the word integrity means whole and undivided. So, this whole process here of self discovery is to live in your integrity, which is whole and undivided. That means that you're not going to set yourself up to betray your own integrity by setting your expectations of yourself unrealistically high, then convincing yourself you're a failure, telling yourself that you're not good at things, and telling yourself that you can't trust yourself. That's not fair. And so that's why this is for you. That's why it's self discovery. Now, going into the health and happiness part, happiness is a choice you make and a skill you develop. Health is divided into 4 separate parts. You've got physical health, which we all know you have to work out, you've got to eat right, you've got to do all these things to get your physical health. Like, nobody expects to not be out of breath walking up the stairs if they're sitting on the couch for 23 hours a day. You know what I mean? You kind of are like, all right, whatever. I'm sitting on the couch, so of course I'm out of breath. Of course I'm out of shape. We get that part. But then there's mental health and emotional health and spiritual health. And we just expect to have those things. We don't do any workouts for those things. We just think we're supposed to have them. And that is actually wrong. You do have to work on things. You get what you focus on. And so if you just think that you're going to get something and not put anything into it, you're wrong. You're going to have to change that mindset. And so from now on, you will commit to think of healing and growing and curiously discovering what's been keeping you stuck for decades. You are officially in recovery from habits that are not serving you anymore. By signing this agreement, you are acknowledging the following concepts. Number 1, I do not have to believe everything I think. Number 2, sometimes my thoughts are the very same thoughts that are meant to keep me stuck. Number 3, I am willing to become my own inner advocate instead of my inner critic. Number 4, I'm going to put forth the effort to take back my health and happiness because I deserve it. Number 5, my only goal is to stay true to my integrity. Number 6, when I get stuck, I'm going to ask questions. Number 7, I'm excited to get curious about my story and learn a new version of the truth. Number 8, I'm nervous and excited at the same time, and this makes me nerve-sighted. Number 9, I will stay true to myself and not use food to hurt myself anymore. Now, notice that does not say I will never eat another piece of cheesecake, another donut, another ice cream. It doesn't say that. Just that I won't use food to hurt myself anymore. That's what it says. And 10, I will honor my integrity and give myself the same level of compassion and kindness that I would give to any other. This contract is signed by yourself and it's signed by all of you because you are multifaceted. So you're not just one way or the other. You are multi, like you're everything. And you are the center of your own universe. How you respond to yourself is literally your only responsibility in the world. Your ability to respond to yourself with love and kindness is your only responsibility. Because if you respond to yourself with love and kindness, you're going to show up as the best version of yourself for yourself. And then that will create a ripple effect that's going to carry through to others as well. This is signed by all of you, the nervous you, the tired you, the frustrated you, the insecure you, the angry you, the private you, the sad you, the lonely you, the scared you, the embarrassed you, the hurt you, the emotional you, the curious you, the determined you, the eager you, the ambitious you, the playful you, the kind you, the happy you, and the powerful you. And then you would state your name. I state your name. I'm making a commitment to myself. I am fully aware that my goal is just to stay true to my authenticity and my integrity. I understand that my progress will be a direct result of my efforts. And then you would sign and date that. And so if that sounds like something that you would like to do, if you would like to take a self-discovery challenge, if you would like to understand the roots of your emotional eating habits and how to crush them for good, go ahead and look in the show notes, and you're going to see a book a call link, and you can just set a time on my calendar. It's a no obligation call. It's free. It's just an opportunity for us to connect and talk. So I'm always happy to just share my journey with you. And if there's one thing that I know for sure, you deserve to live an extraordinary life where food is not invading every thought. And as a reminder, anyone can sell you a diet plan. I'd like to be the one to teach you to never need one again. All right. Every week I have a free gift in the show notes. This week is still the 5 tips to ease overwhelm and overcome overeating. So grab that if you haven't done that already. And then always there's the Mindset Makeover. That is our beginner's course. And you can go ahead and take a little taste of what self-discovery is like. And if you want to connect with me personally, again, you can book a call, or you can send me a DM on social media, or you can send me an email at lisa@coachlisacallahan.com. All right, my friends, until next time, I will see you soon. Bye for now. All right, my beautiful friend, that brings us to the end of another episode from the Crush Cravings with Confidence podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening today and took something from our conversation that you are going to put into immediate action. I love spending time with you and would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with at least one friend today who you think might be struggling too. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any other amazing topics. And please, please do leave me a review. It would mean the world to me. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.